Hey, everybody. So, what if I told you at one point in my journey I was front squatting 165 pounds, but I was rolling out of bed for fear of doing one crunch or sit up because I was worried about making my diastasis worse? And then what if I told you that once I actually added in crunches and sit ups and more isolated ab work into my workout routines, that I got better? My back pain decreased, I felt better, and I started getting back high level skills like muscle ups, strict muscle ups, hollow holds, and things of that nature. So, do you feel like something might be missing out of your diastasis rehab or training program? It might be. There really isn't a lot of research that shows the do's and don'ts of diastasis that are circling around out there are actually true. What is true is that you need an individualized program for your body and the way your diastasis presents itself. So, my story. I'm dealing with a diastasis that's pretty intense. So, when you do the test and you put your fingers there to see like how wide the gap is, my hand will sink all the way down and almost touch my spine. Okay, so I'm dealing with something pretty intense here. And that can be scary. It can be scary for practitioners, it can be scary for yourself. And so I lived in those do's and don'ts for a long time, and understandably so, because I had a severe condition and I was just trying to navigate it. And I was trying to also still be the athlete that I wanted to be, and was all very overwhelming and confusing. But the good part of this journey is that after my second son, I spent a long time doing a lot of intentional rehab. And during that time, when I was avoiding certain movements, I did get to learn how to use my abs in a different way. I learned my natural tendencies and movements, my tendencies and breath, and a lot of things that I was just kind of like about that I didn't even realize. And it was really, really neat. But I gained that awareness and control of my body. I was able to move in different ways, breathe in different ways, use my abs in different ways. And that really was a key part to my journey. But at about like 18 months postpartum, I still was in that safe zone. Now, I was progressing back to other movements as I gained more and more control over my abdominals, but like I still was avoiding the toes to bar and the sit-ups and all that isolated ab work because I got a severe domine or coning when I did those things, and it looked kind of scary. Okay. But once I got the permission to try adding those things back in after I'd done all the other hard work, then I started to realize that I really was okay. And then I started to realize the pain was going away. My back pain, even some stomach pain, felt better as I started doing crunches, kipping pull-ups, those types of things again. My body using what I've learned in my intentional rehab. So part of that was my body was moving in an automatic way that maybe was a little bit different than before because I was taking those things with me. But in another way, sometimes it wasn't. I was just doing things I used to do, but I felt good. And it really blew my mind because I was living in the do's and don'ts for so long. How could these things actually make me feel better? Now, that fascia is still damaged, okay? But I was able to approximate my rectus muscles more after doing things like crunches and isolated ab work. And my back pain decreased. So you see, it isn't what you are doing, like a crunch or a sit-up, but how you are doing that movement and when you are doing it. Progressing back to a movement versus avoiding it forever. That's the message I want to get out there about diastasis recti. The problem is those messages aren't that exciting, right? So what are the ones that are out there right now? Well, there's the quick fix. Unfortunately, there's no quick answer. There's a lot of gray area, okay? And that's not a very fun thing to hear, right? You just want the quick fix in the age of the quick answer and the internet and Google, right? The second problem is that there are slow progressions that are needed. Often. Sometimes it doesn't need to be, depending on your particular situation. But oftentimes it is a slow progression. Maybe it's just a pop up of the head instead of a full crunch. Maybe it's just working on breath work first before you're doing a crunch at all. But again, those aren't really sexy and exciting, but that's really what you need. And the third is you need an individualized program. Everybody's diastasis presents differently. Everybody's body mechanics are different. Everybody's birth experiences are different. Everybody's fitness background is different. It makes a huge difference what you were doing before and after and how your body responds and what you've been doing before. All of those things come into play, and you need to have someone make an appropriate plan for you. But it's really hard to sell programs because they aren't individualized to you, right? And so people don't talk about that message enough because people want to sell their stuff. So the quick fixes and the fear-mongering language are out there. And there are even professionals that use a lot of fear-mongering language. And I think that's just kind of the way they've been trained. I looked at some of the old handouts that I found somewhere, and there's like some hardcore fear-mongering language in these professional documents. So that's what we're working against, okay? But for me, finding my PT and working with Brianna Battles and Anthony Lowe and people that have helped me so much break through these barriers of the do's and don'ts at the appropriate time for my body and my journey has changed everything for me. And I want this message out there. It is so important. I don't want women going through what I did. I've been through the doing too much too soon phase. I've gone through the not doing enough phase. I've kind of been through all the different phases that I see women get stuck in, and I want the change out there. So please help me. Spread this message. Send this video to someone that needs to hear it. Whatever you can do. Okay? If you want to become a coach, you can become a pregnancy and postpartum athleticism coach. Brianna Battles 2.0 course just came out. Anthony Lowe also has some in-course female athlete seminars that you can attend, and he also has some online courses as well, in addition to a mentorship program. So check them out, you guys. Be part of the movement. Thanks.